Okay, we're here. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Data Center News Show. I am your host, Amy Alvado, and I am on the road. I'm gonna mute Andy's mic. There's something going on. Audio issues.
It would not be a data center news show without some significant types of technical difficulties.
Tech probably. Yeah, some tech problem. I don't understand what's going on. Okay. So, yes. So I'm on the road. I'm currently driving to go get my daughter from West Lafayette, Indiana. And so I stopped in this little town called Marion, Illinois. And I am here at a co-working space doing the Data Center News Show, y'all. So there you go.
I don't know. Maybe you should take the nomad title from me. That sounds very nomadic.
It does. It is really nomadic. Yeah. But I like Austin. Austin has been my home for a long time. It's just I'm nomadic at the moment. So I'm the nomadic at the moment futurist.
Nomadic at the moment. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, exactly. Nomadic at the moment. Very cool. All right. So we're going to talk what people have heard about GTC. And then we're going to talk about workforce development strategies. And I've got some people here who know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to workforce development. So I will let them introduce themselves. Amanda, ladies first.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be on this and talk all things data center stuff with y'all. So thank you. Can you hear me okay first? Okay, cool. So I am founder of the Skilled Project. It's a media and workforce innovation platform focused within the skilled trades and construction industry. I am a contractor's daughter and grew up in the construction world. And before that, I was in the climate, clean energy, technology world and kept coming into the same problem, which was the skilled trades labor shortage, and became obsessed with this, really this intersection of education and workforce development. And with technology and infrastructure and everything moving so quickly, how are we really figuring out how we develop young people into these careers? And so that's where I spend a lot of my time now. And so, I also host a podcast called Skilled AF. So I bring on people across the skilled trades to talk about their work and what's going on. And it's a fun place to be in right now.
What does the AF stand for?
You can bleep it out.
As fun as
possible. Yes, for sure. All right, Phil, your turn. You know introduction, but I'll.
Does anybody not know me? My name is Philip Koblenz. Among other things, I'm the co-founder of the Nomad Futurist Foundation, also with a podcast. That's why Amanda and I have all these fancy headgear on.
Yeah.
Today, Nomad Futurist was founded with the mission of trying to kind of demystify the digital infrastructure industry, particularly to youth and students that are not necessarily being prepared by the education system for the digital infrastructure job. So I feel like Amanda and I are simpatico on this one element, and probably on plenty of others. Our goal is to try to get all kids K through 12, think more like middle school, high school, walking through data centers, just recognizing that no matter what their passion is, there is a place for them within the digital infrastructure industry. And there's so many subverticals, et cetera. So always great to be with you, Amy. Great to meet you, Amanda. Sorry to miss you, Andy.
Yeah, and Andy's working through audio things. It's okay. He'll join when he can. He'll text me if he can hop on. And Andy, by the way, is the vice president of marketing for Ellis Electric America, which is the proud sponsor of this lovely show, which over wherever point that way.
Right there. No, up. Right
above my head. It's my crown. I've got the Ellis Electric.
The queen of Ellis Electric.
There you go. Crown, which is awesome. Okay, so we'll hopefully get Andy on here pretty soon. But let's jump in. GTC is still happening. I think the biggest news out of there is that Jensen Huang can deliver a longer speech than President Trump, which is pretty cool. He did 3 hours. 3 hours of a speech. Like, are you kidding me? Did they bring him like carts of water? Did he have to he didn't go to the bathroom in 3 hours?
It's amazing. I mean, how comfortable does that leather jacket have to be?
I did see his outfit. I was like, whoa.
Right?
That's his thing. How many leather jackets does he own?
Oh, I imagine it's like, it's a very Steve
uniform.
Jobs-in thing. I imagine it's
Yeah.
like, you open the closet and it's like 1,000 of those
Yes.
leather jackets.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And the same pants, same shirt. It's really kind of interesting.
It makes sense. I actually enjoy the concept. The uniform is a cool Silicon Valley trend.
Yes.
It is, because it's annoying to figure out what to wear every day. I get it.
I don't know. I don't think it's really that hard. You just lay it out the night before. You just kind of like, I'm okay with variety and color. I don't know, but I'm a girl.
Nope. That's my new uniform is the cashmere hoodie. I'm just wearing a cashmere hoodie every day. Thankfully, the weather in New Jersey doesn't seem like it'll ever get above 35 degrees again. So it'll be perfect for it.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so there are more to come. I heard there was some really cool. Well, he's like the biggest cheerleader on digital twins. Thank you, Jensen. He's my biggest cheerleader. Not for me personally. I say that, but not for me personally. But yeah, so we'll see. But they had some pretty interesting stuff. Schneider was doing some cool stuff there.
I heard they had. I heard it was easily the largest of the GTC conferences. It's not 30,000 people. Is the number that I heard, and just people from all across the spectrum, which I think is something that is trending across kind of digital infrastructure conferences. You have folks in construction. You have farmers that have powered land. You have neoclouds. You have an entire cottage industry of financial instruments that are gauging the value of GPU processing, and all sorts of kind of interesting sub industries that are being created by this kind of AI moment that we're all kind of riding
so
the wave.
I was at we had an event at South by Southwest, and there were a lot of AI technologies there. Coolest stuff, like around farming. Like using AI to make better seeds that produce so you can use less fertilizers. Like they increase yield. Like there was all sorts of, like when you want to find like the weirdest edgy stuff, you go to South by, like, cause that's what it has. And it was a lady that did a lot of music stuff, and Apple bought her out. And so she's talking, and now she's doing another music startup, and she's using AI, and she played us tracks. She goes, "Tell me which one is AI." And we couldn't tell. Like there was no way to tell which one was AI or not. And then
there's also no way to tell if she's lying about it or not, because she'll be like, that one. Oh no, it was the other one. I mean, how do you know?
Yeah, for sure. And then the music, the film industry is using AI like crazy. Like it's kind of interesting. It's an interesting time for sure.
It's an interesting time, unless you're like a writer that's worried that your job is going to be replaced, or someone else. And I think what I have found in my kind of minimal usage of AI with the rudimentary tools that I have access to, because I'm not really on the cutting edge in terms of the usage of these tools, is you can kind of tell, certainly from like a press release standpoint, even certain images, you can tell that it's just not right. So it is like the cottage industry is becoming enough of a specialization in being able to describe what it is you do so that you can leverage AI. So like ironically, like conversation and communication is like the soft skill that's going to make AI super valuable.
Yeah,
it's a tool.
It's a tool.
Cool, for sure. All right, so let's talk about changing roles in the industry, since we're talking about AI. I'm assuming more and more folks in the data center industry will be using AI to help themselves, right? Manage the data centers themselves. So on the skills trade side, Amanda, what are you seeing? Is there any any tools? Are they using AI for anything yet?
They're like, even just like service industry, I've talked with folks that have used like AI to troubleshoot like problems, because if you're installing, right, a lot of these are individual manuals, right? It's different, so that you troubleshoot. So that's an example. But from a training perspective, there are AI learning platforms that are being talked about regarding the training, where it's like you're getting assisted learning but it's still getting built out. Like there's no wide adoption. I'm on the board of our Santa Rosa Junior College's HVAC program. They just started to implement like interplay learning, which is using some VR. And so the first semester of that whole program is VR. And then you go, and then it weeds students out. And then you'll go in, and they built a beautiful facility and stuff. They're training people. But it's, I would say, slow moving to adoption. And I think what's interesting regarding the training and the upskilling, and something I've found within like the trades folks, and I talk to so many tradespeople and people in the construction world, is that so many people in these careers, I would say the majority, are neurodivergent. So ADHD, dyslexic, autistic, I'm not kidding. And there's been no studies done on this, by the way, in North America. I'm working on getting some research published right now on it. There's been some stuff in UK where they found that 52% of their tradespeople were neurodivergent or self-reported or actually diagnosed. And so I keep thinking about that when it comes to data centers. You're having to build there's a lot of net new pathways. The liquid cooling text is an example. How are we designing that, since we have an opportunity to design it right? And so that's where I think the technology stuff become like AI assisted programming, anything that's module based programming, VR simulation, that stuff probably bodes very well for people whose brains work like that. So I think it's a good thing, because we see such dropout with apprentices, and a lot of the apprenticeships right now, it's union apprenticeships, it's death by PowerPoint. And there's a lot of folks dropping between their second and third year, and it's because they started blueprint reading, or it's stuff like this where it's things that they learn differently. And hey, what if we tried audio learning instead? So I think there's going to be a lot coming down the pipe here for training in a good way, because we need to speed up the training process in general.
Yeah. No. So what is Nomad Futurist focused on, Bill, on the training side?
Yeah, look, I think we have what we call the Nomad Futurist Academy, nomadfuturist.academy. Look at that plug. And really the idea is to provide, kind of foundational knowledge of what the data center, what the digital infrastructure industry is, not just to students and the younger generation, but to folks in transition, to a lot of these communities that are reticent to allow digital infrastructure development within them. I had not necessarily equated the community engagement element of what we're doing. It's not just a matter of training the next generation of workforce, but training the folks so they're comfortable with this industry that's creeping into all of these towns and regions. And you're seeing a lot of, government slowdown, shutdowns, moratoriums on digital infrastructure construction, which is impacting projects across the realm. I think the most recent one in Illinois, where you are at the second. So that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to just try to provide that incremental contextualization of what our industry is, and try to supplement like existing STEAM programs. And the hope is, as people learn about what the data center industry is at a really young age, they get more comfortable with the fact that these buildings exist, these windowless buildings that you're passing by. Certainly if you're in Northern Virginia, or frankly any market, it doesn't matter anymore. And they can kind of find their path into that industry at an earlier stage in their overall development cycle. And we also partner with some accredited groups, whether it's the DCD Academy or any of those folks, and we'll provide some level of scholarship and sponsorship so that they can, once they find their path, we can kind of help place them with job opportunities and apprenticeships, et cetera.
Yeah, I think it's if you talk to a millennial or Gen Z, Gen Alphas aren't paying attention, but millennials and Gen Zs, they're so YouTube focused. And my son was the one that turned me onto this YouTuber who was just blasting the data center industry about being evil, and we're contaminating the water and poisoning the air and all this stuff. And I'm like, this is laughable. This is on YouTube. Like, right. The only reason you exist is because of a data center, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just complete misinformation. And so, but I think, yeah, we're not going to get people to come into the data center industry if everybody keeps telling them that they're evil.
Right.
Like,
You're also not going to get these communities to kind of allow digital infrastructure unless they have a stake in the outcome.
Right.
If they see, like, you want community boards to see, roles for their kids, their grandkids, their their environments, where it's not just like in my house, you doctor, lawyer, finance, doctor, lawyer, finance. Those are the only things that growing up as a Long Island Jew, those are the only options that you're allowed to pursue. And if you can get the entire kind of family talking about what data centers are, that's not to say that some of the bad stuff is not true. I think engaging with those folks and giving voice to the true concerns about sustainability and making sure that we are not kind of blindly marked by this low-pitched hum of these natural gas turbines that are in the neighborhoods that are providing bridging power, except it's not bridging for a month or two. It's bridging, it's duct tape that becomes permanent, right? Because of the lack of electrical infrastructure to support some of these developments. We have to have all those conversations out loud, and we can't focus on the security through obscurity that got us through the first kind of 30 years of this industry.
Not anymore. Everybody knows who you are. Yeah. I mean, you just can't escape it. It's the weirdest thing ever. So let's talk about newer skills like liquid cooling. How are we addressing this kind of training? Are we relying on the OEMs and the designs like Johnson Controls or whoever is doing it, and they're developing the training?
It's all Marty. It's all Marty Rankus.
It's all Marty Rankus.
Right.
Like I'm saying, like it's just.
I'm learning a lot because I got connected with y'all from Jay and Antonio, just like what's going on there, right? It's all the liquid cooling stuff. I think it's interesting for me. I keep thinking about, well, who are you going to pull from existing trades to go into these roles too?
Yeah.
And it is like your plumbers. It's going to be your HVAC, and so pipe fitters, right? So that's also a piece of it. But I mean, that's that's like Wild West right now, and that's something we have to figure out. And regarding like who owns that, especially from credentialing system and how that plays a part in that. Because it hurts the workers, right? That's how I see it. If there's some sort of standardization, but each of the operators, right, probably need to have specific training that they can stack on top, and that's going to be where it becomes interesting for them.
I think it's true with any of these, kind of evolutionary, cutting edge technologies. I think ultimately the core elements are the same, right? It's liquid running through, pipes and cables and tubes, it's getting closer and closer to compute. And so that's a little bit scary, but you need to have that kind of fundamental understanding of kind of the physics of HVAC and mechanical systems and the way those systems operate. And then, to a certain extent, you have to rely on the OEMs that are on the cutting edge of these things, and then look to standards bodies like OCP that, kind of help create standards that are going to be more globally accepted by the Googles and Metas and Microsofts of the world.
Yeah, no,
I agree.
It's interesting. I mean, it just seems like it's moving so damn fast that you don't even know what the hell to train them on. Like it's
right.
like
that's why like Amanda's instinct on the kind of skilled trades, like they have to understand that fundamental. Like it's really difficult even with AI or YouTube to teach someone how to be an electrician or teach someone how to be a plumber or an HVAC engineer. And then once you teach them that, I've gone into so many trade schools where somebody would raise their hand and be like, I'm in construction. I don't think there's any role for me in the data center industry. I'm like, oh my God, you're so much smart. You're so needed that the idea that you don't know is crazy.
I mean, it was the same with clean energy, right? It's like it was the same thing. I was working with heat pumps, and it's like, well, it's the same people, right, that we're gonna need. And so, I mean, that's for me has been like, I see them as like linchpins in all of this and making it happen. And I think for me, that's where I'm like, what the hell are we doing?
Right. And that's where the fundamental disconnect. I mean, ultimately, I spend most of my day, whether it's Nomad Futurist or any of the other for-profit endeavors that I'm doing, not really talking about any like brilliant technical innovation that I've come up with in my 30 years of playing around in data centers, but simply connecting dots and be like, you know this because you know this. It's the same thing. You're doing the same thing. You're letting the fact that there were computers involved in this environment and technology ultimately like being developed within this canvas make you think that you are not adequate for it, when in reality, that's the area where you can get the highest value for whatever your trade is.
Yeah. I think when I was talking with Antonio and Jay, we dropped them, they're method experts, but they were thinking through, so they have a lot of access to a lot of electricians and plumbers, and there's a lot of like plumbers chasing, or HVAC guys chasing the data center industry now, right? They're chasing the shiny object. It's a data center etiquette training, or like data center training.
It's like a critical infrastructure mindset.
Yeah, whatever it is, like this is how you operate in this environment. That's the training that they need, right? So that's going to bridge them, at least get them in there so they're not breaking shit,
right?
Like or whatever. Like, when it, and like lockout tagout is this in the data center industry, or like low voltage wires are, yes, they're low voltage, but they're high current, and so stay away. Those kinds of things that you need to know. Which is interesting, right? Yeah, for sure.
Even talking with them, they were like saying how people they talk to some of the HVAC folks, mechanical folks. They're like, we're scared to touch it. We don't want to touch it. Right. It's like, okay, no, you got to touch it. We got to figure out how to. It's like, because it's a black box. What's happening in there?
There's what is it? Fear is the enemy of progress.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So maybe that's one thing I know Antonio and I are talking through about, like, that's probably, if we're going to get people over the hump, because we're just going to go steal them from all the maintenance guys from all the other real estate folks, right? Like, so all the multifamily guys aren't going to have any people, and the office and industrial guys aren't going to have any people, because data centers is going to pay more.
But that's also why, like, getting them exposed as early in their career trajectory to this room, to these kind of environments, is so crucial, because it's the people that are scared of it are the ones that are just like not accustomed to it. Like, the only reason I'm not scared of it is because I spent 30 years trying to figure out what a data center does and how to just make it happen. So it's just matter of fact to me. There's no reason why. And what Nomad Futurist tries to do is it tries to allow all of the kind of data center companies that have, facilities in all of these markets to open their doors to the community, so that it's not like a black box. It's not just something that they're scared of. It's something that is more inviting. They're not, there's not open houses in data centers. It may be great. It would be great if it was. Right. I think we're as close as it comes to open houses. There's never going to be a full open house unless it's a completely kind of defunct data center, and you're just walking through a mothballed facility. But check out nomadfuturist.org and reach out if you want to tour a data center in your town, and we will make it happen.
That's awesome.
I want to. Let's go.
Let's do it. We'll take the Data Center News Show on the road, and we'll start doing tours. So
you're already on the road. I'm already on the road.
We'll do the data center tour.
That's what we need for like any of the misinformation and the debunking and everything. Yeah. The thing Phil, like you're talking about the starting as early as possible. I 100% agree. I think right now it's like this in between of like, we need people now. We needed people like 5 years ago. And so it's like figuring that out. And then but it's so true, like as early as possible. Like we have to invest in like the long-term development of people, reaching kids. I mean, in high school, unfortunately, it's too late. It's middle school and earlier, just to build confidence, because
we have a partnership with a company that does like coloring books for data centers, just so they know what the thing is.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
It's really important to figure out both, but that early is, even though obviously everyone's like focused on the next 5 years, but that earlier that's so critical for exposure and confidence.
And it's one of our founding principles is we're not trying to solve the problem of 2027 or 2030. We're trying to solve the problem of 2050.
Right.
And because ultimately, the people that started the data center industry 30 years ago are still in it. right? So we have not yet had that first round of kind of gray tsunami, and they're still doing it, and that's a problem. One day I want to retire, I swear.
The knowledge transfer.
Never. Bill, you can never retire.
Never. Yeah.
Never. Yeah. Never retire. So what do we think as far as automation goes and robots and things like that? Are we, that's going to change kind of jobs as we know it, right? So what do y'all think? And the next year or so, you betcha, I mean, there's already a little bit of robotic automation happening at data centers, but are we going to have first of all, this is what I want, Amanda. I wanted this. By the way, I'm an old general contractor. I had a construction company. I built in 16 states. So I get you about that. I had skilled trade shortages back in 2003. I looking for plumbers. It was crazy town. I want the robot spider that pulls wire for electricians. I think that would be the coolest invention ever, because I've wired houses. I've done I've roofed a house. I've done flooring. I'll never do roofing, flooring, or wiring anymore. I refuse it. Someone goes, "Hey, you want to do that?" No, I'm not doing that, because your body doesn't work afterwards for days, because you're doing that. But I think the robot spider that pulls wires.
I think it's a great idea.
Why don't we have a robot spider?
I will say one reason, maybe two, and that doesn't mean that I don't think it can exist, but I think one of the things that is we have to be mindful of with AI is it doesn't just accelerate the good things; it sometimes accelerates the mistakes as well. So I think there's the human eye, the way we the institutional knowledge. We talk about that knowledge transfer of someone that has done it for so long, knows that something might not feel right, and if you have the robot spider pulling wires, then all of a sudden you will, if there's a mistake in the middle of the thing and the spider is not programmed with that kind of, the large language model of understanding all the different eventualities. So I think it'll take time for the robots to take over, but ultimately the goal should be, given the scale that we need to grow on as an industry globally, that automation is not going to replace contractors. It's just going to allow us to keep up with the vociferous, kind of demand that we have to acclimate to. And then, the people that are good at this are going to be running those, kind of, AI enabled things.
I think, it's augmenting, right? And I think it'll shift the skills requirements. That's how I keep thinking about it. It'll shift things. I don't think, at least within this space, obviously I'm thinking about just specifically within trades or construction, I think it'll be augmenting and working smarter, right? And I think, Amy, you point out a good point, from a body standpoint and saving your body in places, or what is it that we can do in order to better the job in a way that protects people, so longevity, I guess, at the job. I think there's a lot of opportunity there for that, but that just maybe increases the quality of the work or the quality of the job, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So BMW has a humanoid robot that has been working for the last year and a half, and has 99% accuracy, no interventions. It's doing this simple job that was the hardest job for a human to do. It was heavy. You're moving this big old thing, coming over here and screwing it down. And it's been doing that, and it doesn't take breaks. It works 16 to 18 hours a day, at 20, 7 days a week. And they got more productivity out of that humanoid robot. And it wasn't a Tesla, and it's not a Tesla robot either. It was another, it was not even a Boston Dynamics robot. It was another one. But I think Boston Dynamics, all accolades go to them. They're the OG in the space. They've been working on this forever, and they kind of perpetuated the space. But I don't want to have to send anyone on a roof to look at an AC. That's just silly. Send a drone up there, have it scan it and diagnose stuff, so you're not going up in ladders or up in lifts or doing putting people in danger. The window cleaning robot They have a window cleaning robot, so the guys don't have to be on the scaffolds and the things, putting their lives in danger to wash windows. Like in New York, they have a window cleaning robot now. They have an EFIS, what is that? What's a yellow board you put on the outside of a building? They're 4x8, whatever. It's a fiberglass board. Anyway, you put it on before you put like any sort of siding or brick or whatever. They have a thing that will just screw that in and it won't miss, and it'll go down and it'll side a whole side of the building. And it's kind of interesting now. But yeah, I'm cool with, like, I want my spider robot, the pull wire.
Really?
And I want it to do the low voltage cabling. I want like something with it's like, so people don't have to walk by those cables and they can scan it either with a camera or something to see if there's spots where it's bad, or, I think we can be really in with all the camera technology that we have now. But dude, I'm going to get my spider robot. I'm telling you.
I mean, look, if we live in a world in which you can go out and a robotic driverless taxi will take you from LAX to wherever.
Yes.
Then obviously it is possible to use, radar and camera technology to do a lot of these fundamental tasks. Are we there just yet? Probably not. But I recall when I was I'm going to date myself. When I was a kid, the Jetsons was big. I was a big Jetsons fan as a kid. And Rosie was a robot. And I think in the timeline of the Jetsons, George Jetson would be 6 years old right now. So we're getting it. We'll get there. But we are at the beginning, not even near the middle or
no, we're so at the beginning. Like, it'll be interesting. I really like Star Wars though. I want a BB-8. I think BB-8 is so cute and awesome.
You can buy one now. They sell it.
I know, but it doesn't do anything. So did you hear DoorDash has a robot food delivery now that'll drive to your house?
I mean, I've seen those little boxes of like Uber Eats, the little Uber Eats boxes. I'm forgetting there's an Apple TV show with Seth Rogen where he gets really mad at them, and he kicks them over. But
it's interesting. But no gas. Don't have to tip the driver. You don't have to save your money.
I'm sure you're still tipping someone. You're just it's just going straight to Bezos' pocket. Amazing. He's taking the tips too. Amazing. Awesome.
So what do we see is like besides liquid cooling, any new, are y'all seeing anything, any sort of new skill that people might need to understand? I mean, I've just been working with new tools, right? And automated tools, but what else?
The parallel that I'll run, and like, this has to do with like residential or like smart homes. Like when I was in the clean tech space, like thinking about like home electrification or whatever, it was like, okay, well, and somebody needs to understand like what a connected home does and like those skill sets and stuff, and like energy efficiency. So like technical efficiency and so I think that is relatable to this world where you're like, where energy efficiency or like understanding how these systems work and like having somebody that walks around that is a new. And Phil, you both may know better if these roles already exist, but I keep thinking about like at the energy efficiency side of the equation, given our issues with energy to even build these things.
Yeah, look, I think I think the benefit of having, not a 30,000 foot view, but like just a 5 or 10,000 foot view of how these different systems work alongside one another is super important. And the more we get into things like all liquid cooling is bringing the air conditioner into the computer.
Yes. Exactly.
So basically, you can't really, in a vacuum, say that I'm only an HVAC mechanic, I'm only a plumber, I'm only an electrician, I'm only a computer operator. You can't work with blinders on anymore.
No silos.
Because ultimately you are an HVAC technician, but you're working inside a computer. So you have to understand what that computer does.
Totally.
And you have to understand why it works and why it's important that, you don't get your liquid whatever all over, the other components.
And what a grounding strap is.
Right. And you can't not know what the electrician is doing either, because you guys have to be, coordinating with one another. So the idea of those silos breaking down and recognizing that, yes, it's important to have a specialty and understand how your thing works, but you can't completely discount what the other sides are doing. And I think as trades typically, especially on the residential side, but trades typically like to blame the other trades as opposed to work with the other trades, and you can't do that in a high end, super dense data center environment, because it's one trade on top. It only works if they're all firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was saying from like the smart home perspective or whatever from that, because it's like you have to have knowledge of how these systems work.
Yeah. No, I think we'll see, and I'm going to do it, Phil. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the word digital twin. I think I know what's going to happen. I think, because Jensen Huang is their biggest cheerleader, and it's not going to be all Facilimax stuff. I'm just saying, but it will. Like Schneider's doing it, Cadence is doing it. Like they're going to have to be able to look at simulations and then do their job. They're going to have to be able to look through VR and AR and be able to understand, like the AR just looked at the cabling and it noticed that something was wrong. They're going to have to be able to read that and then fix whatever the AR is telling them to do, right? So, it's all gaming. They're all gamers anyway. So let's some of the old guys.
We talked about this in life or death situations, right? We talk about this with the enabling of like a specialty surgeon in London being able to operate on someone in the US, by virtue of using these, kind of tools and links. So, if it can be done for that, it should easily be able to be done, for the management of data centers, especially when you're deploying them, at hundreds of megawatts at a time.
Yeah, exactly. And, in lovely, somewhere in North Dakota. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if there's like a robot and then a human's in the brain telling the robot what to do. And the robot walks around the data center and does that. Maybe we go there.
Yeah. And that robot could easily be a spider.
I want the damn spiders. I am telling you.
Everyone is aware of your fixation with spider. Were you bitten by a radioactive spider? Are you spider? Are you Spider Woman? Spider Girl?
I just think that they're like, for the wiring thing, that would be the most agile thing. They crawl on the walls anyway.
Why not an octopus? Why a spider? Like, what do you have against the octopus?
You ever see an octopus crawling on a wall? No, you see like
they have the suction cups. What are you talking about? That's the whole thing.
No, I don't. Yeah, maybe. Well, if the data center was in the ocean, they could be an octopus.
Okay. You said liquid cooling. What about submersive cooling? Submersive cooling. You want a spider in a submersible data center? No, you need an octopus.
We do. I mean, we need to get the robots ready because we already have data centers in space. Like, because that was at GTC too. Did you see the StarCloud thing? Yeah. Like that was like upon the big screen. And the CEO StarCloud was like, look at us, we're all in the thing. So yeah, it was pretty interesting.
But we're still at the point where like that's the excitement he gets. Like we're on the thing. Like it's okay if you're building data centers in space, but you're still super excited that you're mentioned in a keynote. Then it's probably some time before.
If they mentioned Nomad Futurist, you would be.
Dude, I would, but I'm not claiming to be running a data center in space.
That's
where
true.
I'm like, oh, I'm on the screen. I'm excited to be on this show. There's 7 people watching right now.
I'm telling you. No, there's 100,000 people.
You're right. 100,000 and a million spiders.
And a million. It's too funny. But yeah, so we're going to need robots if we're going to do data centers in space. We got to figure out the heat exhaust thing first. That's number one. We can't exhaust heat in a vacuum. Like y'all, like it's plain physics. Stop thinking you can just, blow it out the end. Like
it's cold out there. It should be.
It's cold out there. So anyway, like watch. I'm not a physicist. I'm just making this completely up. So we're gonna exhaust heat into space, and it's gonna turn into rain clouds, and it's gonna F with the climate on the Earth, and therefore the data center industry ruined the Earth. Wow. I'm totally made that up.
Are we recording this? Are we recording this?
I totally made that up.
There's gonna be an entire subculture on Instagram and TikTok where it says Amy Polvado confirms that the data center industry is going
It's
to
like-
ruin humanity.
It's like seeding rain clouds by the government.
Clouds in space. Yes.
I'm not sure that's how it works.
None of that makes any sense. I'm just saying. I was like saying out loud that none
Right.
of that makes any sense.
The
But
robots.
yeah, robots. And it, well, so we blame the robots. See, it wasn't a human. It was robots. Because there's no way you can do data centers in space. You're not going to send people. I mean, they send people at the International Space Station forever. And those, I haven't seen. Have you seen one happy astronaut when they get back? Like they're like
They're hungry.
They're hungry. They've been eating MREs forever, like squeezing tubes, and they're tired. They don't look like they look excited to be home, but they look like they just got the living hell beat out of them.
I think you're underestimating like the impact of gravity on those folks. And it's I can imagine the headache is pretty significant.
Oh, well, that's true. That is true. Don't they like, out of scuba, like they decompress you? They do
Right.
that?
It's not. I don't think it's fun.
No, I don't think it's fun either. Yeah, poor people.
We should have you should invite an astronaut on the next time.
I should do that for sure. Yeah, for sure. I'll have to. We just had our event at South by Southwest, and I had the former CTO of the Space Force on one of our panels. So, you got a visitor.
I have a visitor. Say hi. Sharon's live on the Data Center News Show. Hey, Sharon.
No, that's okay. It's like the commercial. Do you remember the commercial with the guy with the kid and the kids in the back?
Exactly.
He's trying to
Push out the door.
I love it.
She's leaving. She's looking for my dog and my
Bye,
son.
Sharon.
Bye, Sharon. Amanda says bye. Amazing.
That's so funny. Well, all right. So, since I like to do this every once in a while, and it's worthwhile entertainment, everybody get ready, pull out your popcorn. Crystal ball. When do we have humanoid robots working inside of data centers? What year? Crystal ball it. I'm waiting with my popcorn.
2020. Oh, really? I think it's like 2027. I think.
Have you seen the humanoid robot? Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see like the robot that like?
They're not great, but I mean, it's just things are
crashed
happening
into the mirror. You see those Russian
quick.
robots that fell over on the stage? There is nowhere. No, zero chance.
It's happening. Everything's just like speeding up.
I know. She says next year.
Robots they can't even bartend yet. You're gonna put them in a critical environment?
I mean, ideally, it's a long time, but I don't know.
No, I think they do little things like reading meters or whatever. Like on the
They'll have an MVP. They'll have a little
That's
MVP.
not true because they have like the robot dogs doing security.
I think you have robots for things like manufacturing. I think you'll have robots for things like very repeatable processes. Are you going to have robots walking through a critical environment?
Yes.
You definitely will not next year, the year after that, or for the 10 years after that.
10 years. I bet you
so
money they show
I think
up.
you can. Fine. Let's make the bet right now. Let's predict when you have a humanoid robot making you coffee in the morning, and when you can perfect that, then we'll talk about humanoid robots in the data center.
I don't know if I want
Does
that.
the count? I set the timer on my coffee maker, and then it goes off.
Right. I mean, isn't that robotic enough? Don't you want some like damn privacy? Did you see that humanoid robot attempting to shovel snow where it's just like slipping all over the place?
No, that's
ridiculous.
hilarious.
It's ridiculous. So yeah, I see a lot of use for automation and robotics, not humanoid robots in the sense of like, a robot that has, human features to it that are trying to use their fingers and toes. But there are a lot of good companies that are out there creating the manufacturing robots that are working 24/7, like you said, that are pumping out chassis, placing compute into motherboards, into devices, assembling entire configurations of compute and putting them out there in a way that is the only way we can get through the kind of demand curve that we're on the precipice of. But I don't think we have. I don't think there are many humanoid robots.
Andrew thinks next year.
Next year. That's his goal. Yeah.
I get it, Andrew. But humanoid? Come on. Do laundry. Fine. That's fine. When you can perfect a humanoid robot that does laundry, then
Oh, isn't
okay.
that one? What isn't that one? What was it?
The studio chat. The studio
You're
chat.
reading, I wasn't reading that earlier. Oh yes, look at see.
Oh, God.
Next,
robot exists. Oh my God. I mean, you can. Okay, maybe there's a robot that can fix the internet access in Andrew's office so that we can get him to actually join the chat.
Yeah, I think it's the high security at his office.
I think wheels, scanning, data rack. I think all of those things
Yeah.
I think the humanoid element is the part that gets me. I think there's all sorts of kind of repeatable, data gathering, data analysis type of.
Okay, so we're not going to say humanoid. We're going to take that word out. We're just say robots. I think
robots are already there.
They're already there. They're doing things now. And I would say doing your PM walks around the outside, looking at all your EPSs or whatever those simple things that people need to do to kind of check stuff and that nobody else wants to do.
Yeah, look, I think that's so. If you think about like the biggest kind of use case for AI in the data center space to this point, it's been entirely in the area of data center infrastructure management, this DSIM world, which is where you're just putting sensors all over the place and you're checking hotspots, you're checking power, you're checking voltages in all these different areas, and then you're getting smarter and then more intelligent about what smaller differences in those data points might portend for some predictable behavior that can allow maintenance to benefit from. There's a lot of automation practices that are in place now and will continue to evolve.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, so the race to power and all of those great things that the data center industry and President Trump came out and said, build your own power stuff. This has, we already had an electrician problem. We already had one. So what do we see as, how do we entice kids to become electricians so we can build enough electrical infrastructure so we can have enough data centers? What is the goal, Amanda?
It's like, do you want me to get on my soapbox?
Yes.
Well, it's interesting to think about with what's driving this, right? Because the private sector is driving the build out of the data center stuff. And I think about a lot around how what in our history can we compare this with? This is obviously the biggest, but the highway system was the last time we had this big of an infrastructure push, right? And so I'm thinking about the workforce development aspect of, we need to be putting a lot of money in. Who is beholden to doing that? The government did it back when the highway was being built. Obviously, automobiles benefited from that. But who's on the hook for workforce development now? And obviously BlackRock put some money in, and we have Google putting money in. But I mean, it's like charity. It's just not enough money. We need billions of dollars going into workforce development. What's going on with the shortages? Shortage is a symptom of a problem, which is it's a systems failure. What's going on? A shortage is not the problem. It's a symptom. And so we have an opportunity to possibly rebuild the system or redesign the system with data centers because of what's happening. Yeah. And but who's on the hook to pay for that, right? And I think there are a lot of kids interested in these jobs, and it's really started to shift, I think, over the last 5 years or so. But there's not enough access points. There's culture issues, leadership issues, and then it's this broken system. So it's we have to fix the system. But we need to stop poking at the shortage as the problem. It's a systems failure.
Oh, yeah, it's the result of the
Totally.
But it was a thing of the trades were not as appealing,
stigmatized, and then the underinvestment. I mean, in Philly, you probably what's crazy is I was talking with a lady last week whose brother runs an auto shop program in a couple hours away from where I'm at in Northern California, and they're starting to cut that program. And it's didn't Ford just put out a thing where they can't find auto technicians that are $120,000 salary, right? So it's like there's this really big disconnect, right, with like where are we funding education and what we really need.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a lot of interest. We need more access points. We need more exploratory points, and we need to shore up attrition. Like we lose so many people in apprentices, like so many people, and so we need to figure out what scaffolding needs to exist, and also how do we like you can't be an electrician in California and then move states, or like you can be an electrician in California and then if you move, it's like.
Got to start over.
That
is the dumbest thing ever, by the way. Like we need people. That whole thing and the licensing and all that. Like just make it reciprocal. If you got licensed in California, you can get licensed in Texas. Maybe make them take a class, whatever, to prove that they know what the hell they're doing. But yes, no, I totally agree with that.
And look, and you know, it makes a lot more sense to do that for the trades than it does to do that, say, for lawyers that are licensed in those areas, because there are specific laws in California that are different than the laws in a different state. But ultimately, like the building codes are fairly standardized across the country, particularly as it relates, to copper touching copper and glass and glass touching glass, and grounding and all those things. So the idea that they make it difficult for tradespeople to move from state to state is crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I had to get my contractors. So when I was back and had my construction company, I was licensed in Florida, and then that was reciprocal in only like 5 states, but Georgia was not one of them. So I had to go test in Georgia. I'm like, are you for real? Like Texas doesn't even require a license. Like this is like the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I do think there's a potential concern, particularly as you start talking about microgrids and behind the meter power and people like going in and creating their own cottage industry internally, to start kind of reducing the kind of quality associated with what we expect from a utility. And yes, your data centers are incented to be sustainable and to be efficient, but ultimately when you're in a race, which is what they've referred to this AI race for, you inevitably start cutting corners. And I think that's the concern, is that because nobody has the luxury of the time that it's going to take. It's one thing you can let's say you uncovered $1 trillion tomorrow to invest in trades programs and workforce development. You still need the time, and because we don't have the luxury of time, inevitably you have to trust that there are the types of regulations that would protect the population from some sort of catastrophe. And when you have small modular reactors and micro reactors on the nuclear side, and you have all sorts of hydrogen and other types of natural gas behind the meter power stuff happening, and people that are just in a race to get anything up at all costs, and the only thing that matters is time. That's a recipe for scariness.
Wait till you see my spider that's going to start pulling transmission lines.
Bucket spider.
My spider that's going to pull transmission lines across the land. That's going to be an awesome spider.
I can't wait to see the Palvato spider.
I'll be Doc Ock. Was it Doc Ock? Right?
He was a bad one. There was if there's a spider in that thing, it was Doc Ock's nemesis.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Ironically, Doc Ock is a fucking octopus. Right?
Of course. All right, y'all. Look at that. Our hour is gone.
Skilled AF.
It's so much fun. Amanda, you survived. You made it on the show. You survived. It was great. I love talking about this stuff. Yeah, it's always super fun. All right. If somebody would like to get a hold of you, Amanda, how could they do that?
Amanda@theskilledproject.com is my email. And then I have social platforms, The Skilled Project, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm there, The Skilled Project. And then check out the podcast, Skilled AF, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. So, and YouTube. But we're there.
Very cool. All right. And Phil?
Nomadfuturist.org, Nomad Futurist on your favorite podcast platforms, PK at nomadfuturist.org. LinkedIn is probably my favorite of all of those things. Come take a selfie with me when I see you at one of these shows.
Yeah.
And don't forget, this is for you, Amy. Smash that like button.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And wait, did we get Andy? Look, at the end.
Hello, everybody.
I'm gonna get a picture.
Try. A picture. You made it. And Andy, how can someone get a hold of you, sir?
I posted LinkedIn for everybody at the bottom of the page.
Yes, very cool. That's awesome. Get a hold of Andy on LinkedIn. He's the sponsor of the show, and we had audio issues happening. And I'm Amy Paul, we will see y'all next week. Have a good DCD. I'll see you at DCD.
So next week, will there be a cake match between Dr. Ock and
There should
Spike?
be.
That's what, is that what's coming?
Yeah, I think I should make that. I'll use AI to make it. It'll be awesome. It'll be great. Yeah. Actually, next week is the women's show. So we're going to have all the women in the DCD next week. Yeah. Very cool.
I wasn't available anyway.
You weren't. I wasn't going to invite you. Sorry, Phil. You're not a girl.
All right. I will see you in New York.
See you in New York. All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.